Hey fam, welcome back to my channel, Lipedema. Today I want to talk to you about something that I'm pretty pumped about, and that's that I finally have my surgery date. I know it's going to be in February, which at the time of this recording is about 2 months away. I cannot believe that. It's insane. I'm so excited. And I wanted to actually come back and tell you, if you looked at my last video on the Veterans Administration and my disability rating, that this is actually tied together with my surgery in a way that I didn't expect. So, what do I mean? Let me go back. So, a little while ago, my best friend suggested to me that I go back to the Veterans Administration and have them open a claim to relook the disability rating that I was given when I got out of the military in 2016. Now, she works for the Veterans Health Administration, and she's really familiar with the challenges that veterans face, and also, of course, knows me super well and knows everything that I've been through since I got out of the military back in 2016. So I was kind of surprised that she made the suggestion, but also I definitely defer to her judgment. She's got the expertise in this area, both as a veteran, as a healthcare professional, a licensed clinical social worker, the spouse of a vet as well. So I know that she knows what she's talking about. So I said, okay, followed her advice to connect with a veteran service organization in the area. And then I made my video when I was actually headed in for a second meeting with that VSO rep so that I could talk to him about my lipedema and to see if it might be a covered condition. So, spoiler alert, I don't have an answer for that. And the reason I don't is because my VSO actually made a really great observation. He was like, you have enough in other areas that have changed since you got out of the military that you actually may want to explore the rating upgrades or rating changes for those particular issues versus going in with something new because lipedema wasn't captured as a part of my medical record when I went out. Now, he wasn't saying that I couldn't go back in and discuss a claim for lipedema or submit that as a new condition, but he was saying that from the sheer perspective of what's going to be the heavier lift, right? Like what can we do that is going to be faster and more streamlined? It was to go with the things that were already an existing condition, but that had seen some kind of degeneration since I got out of the military. Okay, so that made sense to me, and we went ahead, we submitted. It took a minute, but I can't complain because what came back was definitely in my favor. It was an increase in my disability rating. And if you think that you should not go back and have this relooked, even if you've had something significant happen since you got out of the military, I would tell you, like, think about this from a long-term perspective about what the difference could mean in your life. I didn't really think about it, but once I got my decision letter, it was really clear to me that what just happened is a life-changing event. So the difference in what I will be receiving for compensation because of that change from my previous rating to my current rating is not insubstantial. In fact, it's almost $1,000 a month. And if you think about that and you actually kind of do the math on it, if you're getting an extra $1,000 a month or an extra $12,000 a year that you are eligible for, then over the course of your retirement, which could be 30 years for some people, 40 years for some people, that's a lot of money. For me, I think it'll probably be more like, 20 max because like I said, we don't live long in my family, but it's a major difference. It's a meaningful change. And I remember getting that decision letter and going back to my best friend and saying, wow, I am so glad that I have you in my life. And that's why I wanted to come back to definitely tell you all think about this because it's not easy to kind of do the math sometimes to think about this. It's not something we think about as veterans, but it's a meaningful difference. And that's a difference for my dependents and for myself, right? And also, I still can go back and talk to them about the lipedema, but here's why I might not. So when I initially was going through the process of getting onboarded to the Veterans Health Hospital, the Veterans Health Administration Hospital, where I go to now, I went to see the folks in lymphatics so I could talk to them about some of the things that I was seeing happen. And so when we were in there talking, one of the things that I asked about was, could I get custom compression? And that answer is yes, by the way. So they measured me same day, and then my compression arrived, and it is awesome. Now that I know what the gold standard for compression is, I can say I found some things online that are actually pretty close, but it was a great thing to be able to get that from the Veterans Health Administration without having to pay for it. So love it. That was wonderful, and also helped me because we just came back from a trip to Korea where I definitely wore that compression along with compression socks. I'll link the socks below because if you're someone like me who has very large calves because of lipedema, then it can be really hard to find compression socks that fit. And I'll also share some of the ones that I got on Amazon that held me over or tided me over until I got the official, like, no joke, like tailored custom fit compression that the VA gave me. So while I was in that appointment with the VA asking them about like different options, I asked, like, does the VA do lipedema surgery? And he said, well, actually, we don't do lipedema surgery. We would actually send you to someone in the community for that surgery. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's not needed. Like, I actually have approval from my insurance, which I did. From my civilian insurance had approved me to work with an out-of-network provider, and now I decided not to go with that doctor for a number of reasons, and I aligned on a different doctor that was actually in network with my insurance. I was so excited, and this was before we had submitted for the approval, but I was relatively certain, like, this is not going to be a problem. So when I told him that, I was like, I'm actually working with someone who's really close by to here. And I gave the doctor's name. And he was like, oh, we work with her all the time. Like, I definitely know this person. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is she good? Like, I mean, what's he going to tell me? He's like, no, we hear wonderful things about her. She works with all of our folks who have these kinds of issues, and she's been amazing. He's like, that's who I would have referred you to anyway. So that was a real good, like, sort of warm, fuzzy feeling that I got out of that. Like, you always just want, like, another source of confirmation that you've made the right choice. So I was super happy. Fast forward, my insurance, when they resubmitted for approval with a doctor that was in network, was denied. It turns out that it was because the actual code that they submitted for, which included skin excision, and I was kind of surprised that the doctor's office had mentioned that since it really isn't something that we're going to be doing, but those codes weren't the ones that my insurance had approved previously. So I shared that with the doctor's office and was like, hey, I think you probably need to resubmit. I think this is just an issue where the codes that you submitted for are ones that are confusing to my insurance company because that's sort of not what's indicated in the photos that you sent. But also you would need to appeal it. And incredibly long story made shorter because I did a video on it, and I'll hopefully link to that video here. They actually said that it was because my doctor couldn't operate under the kinds of codes that they needed to work with that particular insurance. And I won't say what the insurance was, but it's a civilian insurance provider. So the next step in her mind, the doctor's office's like assistant's mind, was we would go and think about TRICARE, right? And I was just like, gosh, I think a lot of doctors won't do TRICARE because honestly, what I've heard is that what TRICARE is willing to pay for this is not something that doctors are willing to work with. Although, you know, the doctor that I selected, this is someone, she is doing this from a place of helping people. And so it may have been fine, but it was definitely going to be a whole other process. And if you're interested in sort of what that insurance approval looks like, because it's not a difficult process, at least from my experience. Like, the approval that I got went through in 2 weeks. It was only because this doctor's office put the wrong codes on that it was declined on this one. And the issue is just, of course, that my doctor isn't approved for this particular insurance for these particular procedures, even though this is what she specializes in. Like, it has to look a certain way for the insurance approval. And so she can have that added to her portfolio, but something that has to go through like the director of surgery or whatever at the hospital before she can have that done. That takes a few months. So anyway, I wasn't thinking anything other than yikes. Like, this is terrible. What am I supposed to do now? I'm delayed for at least another 3 months. And my doctor's office, the person who actually was helping me as the assistant and the scheduler for surgery, went, like, she changed jobs. So, and good for her. Like, she found another role that's a great fit for her. But from my personal perspective, I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to be starting over with someone else who may not understand this nearly as well. So I was chatting with my best friend, again, amazing. And what she said was, why don't you go to the VA and see if they would be willing to do this for you? And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even like think about that. So The long and short of it is they said yes. I requested this through just a message to my doctor's office. They were very familiar with the entire background. They had already done a lot of procedures, like just to kind of test for lipedema anyway. They came back approved for a consult over and surgery with this provider's office, sent it through their system, and I got a call from them about a week and a half later saying, let's schedule you. So it is a great news story. This is me saying I heart the VA. I am so thankful for the continued care that I am receiving from them. Uh, it's heartwarming to me to see that we take this kind of care of our veterans in the United States. I am so thankful that I have this benefit, this lifetime benefit. It's just really amazing, and I'm humbled by it. And I also just never thought that that would be where the answers would come from. And literally, if I hadn't had the best friend that I have, I wouldn't have even thought about it. So I wanted to make sure that you know before I get so emotional about my best friend. So think about this as you're going and speaking with veteran service organizations, or if you're getting out of the military, to make sure that you're getting things documented when you're talking to whoever's helping you start that initial paperwork to get your VA disability rating, even if it's a 0% rating. I think that this was like game changing for me. One, that I went back to do the disability rating, like to do the claim adjustment, to have them look and see at what had happened since my last, since I'd gotten out of the military, right? Because I had some significant issues in both my knees and also a skin condition that I have. Like they had gotten worse since I got out, and a number of other things, honestly, like I'm just falling apart, right? This is old age is hitting, right? Or at least middle age is hitting. Honestly, there are plenty of things, right? As you get older, it just happens, you know, you need regular maintenance, right? This is definitely the phase that I'm in right now. So that's like thing one, and to come back and have that rating increase come over, that's going to be a meaningful change in my income for the remainder of my retirement. But then also number two, that I actually am now going to be getting my lipedema surgery for my legs and my arms covered by the VA. It's amazing. I could not have asked for a better outcome. And the people that I've been working with at the VA have just been amazing on all counts. So, wanted to make sure that you knew what I knew, because I think none of us is as good as all of us. And I hope that you're having a great day and that you'll like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.